You're telling me 2,600 miles away, 2 days for an election, that if I want to vote, all I have to do is show up and prove as an American citizen that I have the right to vote again?
Is this an attempt to remove a lot of Democrats, black people from voting to win the election?
I am far from that, sir. And you have crossed the line.
And today to come out and not be able to vote and no one can give you an explanation, like, it's extremely emotional and it bothers me. It bothers me to my core.
Welcome to Let It Be Known. Isn't that something? Jamie Foxx helped put that together. Vigilantes Inc. And as it's said there, it's like the Klan did it in 1946. But it wasn't just the Klan. Wasn't just the Klan. They certainly was a vehicle to stop black folks from casting a vote. And now the head of the modern day Klan, MAGA, is doing the same or trying to do the same. We reported the other day about how all of these folks are being removed from voter rolls, and um, folks need to check their registration and things of that nature. Um, it tells you a whole lot. See, folks, it we say read between the lines, but this is something. This is not the lines are not even blurred. It's not. They're not even blurred anymore, and so it tells you they looked at Kamala Harris in the face and said, "There's no way we can beat this woman. There's no way that we can beat this black woman. Not fair and square. not, not fair and square." So um, they are saying, "Well, the people we think that's going to support her, we're going to take them off the voter rolls. We're going to make it impossible for them to vote for her." And so they have looked defeat in the eye and realized there's no victory for them, not fair and square. And I mean, she's killed them ever since the vice president has entered the race. Ever since Joe Biden crashed and burned back in June. I hate to put it that way because I don't think that's well. many say he crashed and burned. Ever since that debate in June, and a few weeks later when she took over. And you got to understand the history there, the type of history she's making and will make with the win in November. Not only as the first woman, first Black woman, first Southeast Asian, however you want to put her, but she's certainly a Black woman. Um, but within a couple of months, do you realize that these campaigns, they take a couple of years to build momentum and be able to do fundraising and all of that stuff. She's she's put on a clinic in the last couple of months on how to run a campaign, basically how to run a successful campaign. I mean, her debate performance. Now, granted, as it is definitely not hard to beat Donald Trump in a debate, but because of the media's lack of abdicating their responsibility, not checking him, not only fact checking, but stopping the nonsense. You know, she had to go up against all of that, and she made him look foolish, the prosecutor and the defendant. And she certainly prosecuted the heck out of him. But Vigilantes Inc. is something, it's an interesting film there. America's new vote suppression hitmen. And see the lady said, "I'm not going there with you, whatever." Yeah, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. But that's an amazing piece put together by, in part, by Jamie Foxx, who married off his daughter last week. His daughter got married. He saw him walking down the aisle. I ain't doing all the crying. I'm gonna be happy I'm always happy when I walk my daughter down the aisle. My oldest, I was happy. Her husband was crying. We don't do that. All that crying. What you crying for? This is a happy occasion. People say it was happy tears. I'm like, yeah, okay. I didn't cry at my wedding. I'm not doing all that. It's not a time to cry. There's no crying in weddings. There's no crying in baseball. Happy Swag T-shirt day. Today, the Orangey is wearing a UAPB shirt. Happy homecoming to Alcorn and Texas Southern. The tailgate starts at noon, he says. Mike V says it's excellent. That film there is excellent work by Greg Palast. Mike V was mentioning that the other day too. He said he thought I was a happy warrior. I'm not a warrior. I'll put Greer out in front. She takes the bullets for me. She does. Somebody comes up ready to swing. She's swinging back for me. Oh gosh, how about some baseball? I mean, I needed some baseball in my life. Some real good baseball. Greer said she watched that film last night, Mike V, and it was really good. An amazing. I didn't watch the first 8 innings of the Mets Brewers game last night. Otherwise preoccupied getting some spiritual food and get home. And it's the 9th inning. They're trailing 2-0. And the only reason I even turned the TV on is because Francisco Lindor was due to lead off. The real MVP, not the guy that threw his interpreter under the bus. And I said, well, you know what? Let's see if he can get on base, because he's the one that you can certainly count on in a situation like that to get on base. And that would just mean that somebody needs to hit a 2-run home to tie it. So it's called either a bloop and a blast is what they needed in this case. So he worked out a tough walk. And then, of course, Mark Vientos, who batted second, struck out, but Brandon Nimmo won a 2-strike. And this is against the best closer, one of the best closers in the league, Devin Williams of the Brewers. Then he gets a hit. And all of a sudden, it's first and third, 1 out, and they down 2, and none other than the very disappointing Pete Alonso stepped up to the plate. And as we see video of game 1, not game 3. But you figure, okay, he's either going to strike out or ground into a double play. And so what does he do? Shocks everyone. Hadn't had a home run since September the 19th, and Devin Williams had not given up a home run in about, as they used to say when I was a kid, a month of Sundays. And I mean, even before that, so she saw these highlights. I mean, this was 6 scoreless innings on both sides until the 7th, when the Brewers would break the game, appear to break the game open with back-to-back home runs. But Pete launches a bomb, a 3-run homer, and the Mets go on to win. On again, going back to Francisco Lindor, not only did he set the table, but Francisco, the last play of the game, runner on first, 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Milwaukee has some life, it appears, and there was a line drive toward short. And this is the 9th inning here that she's showing now. That's the huge take and a walk by Francisco Lindor that set the stage. And those, I don't understand fans sobbing and crying when their team loses. It's a sport. Those guys are going to get their millions of dollars whether they win or lose. And there's the Alonso home run. And he throws a kiss. And the great thing about that Alonso home run, other than the fact that it really won the game for him, is that he knew it the second it left his bat, although it didn't look like it looked like it was a chance that it might not go out, that it might even be caught. Because even at first base, Brandon Nimmo said that he thought, okay, I don't know that he got this one. But he said he looked at Pete, who jumped when he hit the ball and started yelling. So at that point, it had better gone. It had better gone out the park. And then there's my man Starling Marte adding on, Jesse Winker coming in and then slamming his helmet. But what a game. It was the first time in Major League Baseball history that a team trailing in the 9th inning hit a go-ahead home run to win the game. The first time in the history of Major League Baseball's playoffs. So that was really, really interesting. And Power 96 is talking about the Knicks and their trade for Karl Anthony Towns. And we really hated giving up Dante DiVincenzo in that deal, but you got infinitely better. Orangey, you're gonna have to come to the Garden with me. In fact, this month is opening day. Is for the Knicks and the Rangers, and you know who will be in the building in my regular seats, chilling at the Garden. Knicks Pacers is opening night, October 25th. The Rangers is the 14th. So I will be seated in the Garden for those opening nights. The Madison Club is where you can find me hanging out, drinking and eating and watching my two of my favorite teams. All right, so let's get to some news, y'all. We got a few things to talk about this morning. But first thing is first. The Union for Striking Dock Workers announced on Thursday evening that they'll return to work at 14 major ports stretching from Maine to Texas after reaching a tentative deal with the United States Maritime Alliance. There were concerns that if the first port strike on the East Coast since 1977 had continued, it could have hit supply chains and driven shortages and higher prices. We saw immediately there were pictures.
Unfortunately, we reached an impasse with the USMX come September 30th. Our members dug in deep. They said if they don't get a fair contract, they're going to walk, and that's what they did.
And so, are we looking at a suspension, or are we looking at an end of the strike?
This was the end of a strike. All of our members will be returning to work tomorrow morning, so the supply chain will officially be open.
So what we're going to see around Port Everglades, Port Miami, we're going to see trucks taking stuff off of those ships that have been sitting there.
Right, you'll see all the longshoremen, all these men and women behind you, everybody will be returning back to work tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. like I said, I can't say it enough. America's supply chain is open, and you can thank these beautiful people right behind me for everything they've done, because without them, it wouldn't even do it.
And I see the smiles and I hear the excitement for them. Tell me about the benefits in the deal for them.
Oh man, hey, listen, we just got the first part of the deal done, which was a significant wage increase. We'll release all those details later, but but I'm happy to say this was the highest wage increase in the history of America.
What have these last 3 days been like for you all?
We've been feeding off each other, we've been motivating each other, and just the support that we got from just the port community, our local elected officials. I mean, it's just kept us energized, kept us positive, kept us thinking about just getting
exhausted. We've been out here for 3 days straight for 24 hours, going from location to location, and we are so glad that this is over.
Thousands of workers all across the country hitting the picket lines just after midnight on Tuesday for the first time in nearly 50 years, fighting for better wages and against job-killing automation.
So it's what a delightful folks, what a delightful picture that was. The Longshoremen Union, just black folks, black men and women, and he said the men and women. It's called Longshoremen. They might as well say Longshore people, right? but they got a great raise. It's believed that the raise is 62% over 6 years, or roughly $63 an hour for these individuals. $63 per hour. Pretty good wage there, I would say. The union had previously pushed for a 77% raise over 6 years, where the USMX had offered a 50% wage increase. President Biden had called for the USMX to present the union with a fair offer, and he issued a statement applauding the two sides for, quote, coming together to reopen the East Coast and Gulf ports. The union workers, he said, the carriers and the port operators, he thanked them for acting patriotically to reopen our ports and ensure the availability of critical supplies for Hurricane Helene recovery and rebuilding. So good job there. I think one of the things folks are showing a lot. Yesterday there was some posts before the settlement of the head of the USMX, his mansion and his cars, Porsches and Rolls Royces and things of that nature was being displayed across social media, saying these are the kind of people who don't want to see us have livable wages. And whether or not that had anything to do with it, I don't know. But shortly after that, there was a shocking announcement that they had reached a deal and the strike had come to a conclusion. Mike V says it's good to see black men leading the labor movement. And Orange G says, I told people to stop freaking out. Store shelves were just about empty. Also, toilet paper is a domestic item. They got to realize that, right? Orange G, the hoarders look crazy this morning. And here's something else it will get under your skin. On September 29th, last week, halfway into her 10-year sentence, Amber Geiger was told that she was now eligible for parole. September 29th happened to have been, or would have been, the 33rd birthday of Botham Jean. Amber Geiger, that cop who killed him in his apartment, is set to be released this coming Sunday, after serving just half of that the very light 10-year sentence for murdering Botham Jean. Geiger, she, wow, you remember this story, and it just gets under your skin. The prospect that she might be released from prison and serving only half that sentence. Wow, it's very real. And Botham Jean's family members, they are speaking up. This is a quote from Alyssa Charles Finley, who is Botham Jean's sister. She says we have to deal with that sentence for the rest of our lives. So for the person responsible for taking Botham away from us unjustly and senselessly, the logical thing to do is have her serve her full sentence. And 10 years to me is a light sentence for murder. Um, and if you remember, the Botham Jean's family, including his sister, his mother, and brother Brant, they they were all in the court, and it was Brant who publicly forgave Amber Geiger, and what was really a moment that many still can't even begin to fathom, um, because this was a woman who showed absolutely no remorse, and this guy received so much criticism, but the family's lawyer said his forgiveness of Amber Guyton does not mean that she does not get to be punished for her crime. Forgiveness doesn't supersede punishment. So whether he forgave her or not, that has no bearing on serving her full sentence for committing that crime. She has only been in for 5 years, and we have a lifetime left without Botham. And if you remember, that was one of the egregious things. But the judge, who was a black woman, Tammy Kemp, handed Amber Geiger a Bible and hugged her like they were sisters. Chris says they do that stuff in Dallas. He hugged her because they do that stuff in Dallas. Um, RNG says that hug, he told him that hug was going to come back to haunt them. Oh, black folks do that stuff. And as it was News One who noted that there are just far too many young black people sitting in prison right now who made horrible mistakes they wish they hadn't made and could never fathom a judge sentencing them for murder and then, during the same court appearance, embracing them like they were family. News One said Kemp may be a black judge, but it's just really felt like the power of whiteness was on Geiger's side. And now that she's eligible for parole, it still feels that way. If you remember, um, Geiger claimed that she arrived at Botham's apartment by mistake after she had worked 13 hours and she was exhausted. And she cried her eyes out during that trial. And apparently that got some sympathy from jurors who unanimously did not buy her self-defense claim or the claim that she believed she was at her own apartment, despite all of the visible differences between her home and Botham's, which was on a whole different floor, including a bright red doormat that Amber Geiger did not have in front of her door. So the jury, although they showed some sympathy, they did come back and convict her. That was performative. Her behavior on the stand, like somebody else we know out in Wisconsin who walks around free today. Ike V says there are black folks in Mississippi sitting in prison for shoplifting, let alone murder, and this woman is eligible for parole. And Power 96 alleges that Geiger is a racist. He says, read her text messages. Those white tears work on black judges. That's a shame. And Botham Jean's mother was far, far less forgiving than her son. She says Amber Geiger, at the time of the sentence, she says she needs to sit where she is in prison and accept responsibility for what she did to my son, my family, my country, my world. She says forgiveness does not equate to an early suspension of justice, especially when it's so easily arguable that the sentence that Amber Geiger was given wasn't a just sentence to begin with. I- 5 years, unless unless somebody steps in by Sunday, she will have served 5 years, essentially taking a vacation for murder. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. We will certainly bring you the results on Monday morning as to what happened, if she does walk free or if there's uh, the parole board decides you can't. Um, the long t- this is troublesome as well. The longtime elected coroner in Hinds County, Mississippi, who faced so much criticism last year for burying men in paupers' graves without notifying their families, is stepping down early. Sharon Grissom Stewart, a Democrat, announced Monday that she would retire on December 31st, 3 years before the end of her current term. In a statement from her office, um, Grissom Stewart said, "It was time to start the next chapter of my life after 25 years of being on call around the clock." She said she planned to spend more time with her family and explore quote unquote personal and professional opportunities. Her statement didn't address the Pauper's Grave scandal. She has not spoken publicly about it um, since it was uncovered that she had buried men without giving their families an opportunity to claim their bodies. Some of those families have reported the men missing to authorities. The mother of one of those men, Jonathan Hankins, confronted her in February at the county's pauper Phil. During that conversation, which was captured on a cell phone recording, Grisham Stewart apologized to Gretchen Hankins and said, "I don't know how to find people." So she just dumps their bodies. This is the coroner. I mean, the public, rightfully so, was outraged. And the Hinds County Board of Supervisors then enacted a policy requiring coroners' office investigators to check missing persons registries, nearby police agencies, and other public service offices, as well as social media, to find relatives of people whose bodies had gone unclaimed. They actually had to craft policy, as if that should not have been already on the books, certainly unspoken. Police in Jackson adopted a policy outlining how officers must notify families when a relative has died. The Justice Department stepped in, saying it would help authorities in Hinds County and Jackson improve their death notification procedures. And Grissom Stewart happened to have been the first elected Hinds County coroner. Oh, she was first elected, I should say, in 1999, and she won. She happened to have won re-election just last year. Just last year. Okay, so we're gonna be joined shortly. Um, Nina's gonna join us. Okay, sounds like a plan. So you get some notes, and it's like, what are he talking about? What is he talking about? There will be a special election for Grisham's seat as coroner, um, and the winner is going to serve out the remainder of her term, which lasts until 2027. So this was such a terrible, terrible situation. There was, if you recall, there were some family members who actually went out looking for their loved ones, and they spotted their names on a list of unclaimed bodies that was published by NBC News. And that's how they were able to find out that their loved one was even dead. And the Mississippi got all types of issues, all types. I know Dawn loves her Mississippi. Mississippi 99 problems. Dawn ain't one of them. Oh gosh. I see Bobby Henry watching. Bobby, you down in Florida, so you're not too far from Mississippi. What in the world is going on down there? We gotta talk to Jackie Hampton or someone from the Jackson Advocate. What's going on down there? Jackie, of course, is the publisher of the Mississippi Link. But nonetheless, again, our two Mississippi papers, I applaud you. I applaud you because I just can't. Okay, so we're going to reschedule with Nina. Okay, so I just couldn't do, I couldn't do Mississippi. I just couldn't. And Jackie says all the time, like, Stacey, you do such a great job. Yeah, y'all do a great job because y'all in very adverse conditions. Mississippi is just so it screams Jim Crow. It screams KKK. All their policies. I mean, what the Jackson mayor has done has been tremendous in the face of complete and utter racism. Mike V says Charles Blow said black folks should move back down south. Well, when Charles Blow moves back down south, he can report in the New York Times how it's going. How about that? Oh, he has. Okay, so tell him to keep reporting on that. Let's he can have it. He can have it. He lives in Georgia. Okay. Okay. Greer's quick on the button there. He's in Georgia. What are you talking about? He's not in Mississippi. He is definitely not in Mississippi. And we're in Georgia. She's somewhere near Atlanta because Atlanta's a weird place. Atlanta and the city of Atlanta. Yeah, he's in Atlanta. She said, "Don't start." Atlanta, no, but Atlanta is like you don't really know you're in the South sometimes when you're in Atlanta. So no, that's not what I'm thinking. She says, "I know what you're thinking." She's always in my head. Prince had a song that says, "Always in my hair." She's always in my head. Doggone it. Can't can't even think wrong around here. You can't even think wrong around here. They spot your thinking, Cheryl Brown. Good morning. So this is a segment. This is a story I should have had. She says it's true but irrelevant. This is a story that I should have had Lauren Burke on for, because Lauren, I'm telling you right now, this is a story that you could just say go. Lauren would just absolutely destroy folks in this particular story. Before I get to it, I got to read what RNG says. He says, I was in Mississippi last weekend. I had a great time. I didn't stop on my way home. No Mississippi burning for me. I told you one time I happened to find myself in Mississippi. It was total accident. We were in Cincinnati, then Kentucky, driving, and we wanted to go to a Walmart that we found on the GPS. And going across this bridge, big, huge sign, "Welcome to Mississippi." I said, "Oh no, wait, where's the next exit? Let me turn around." And it happens to be the Walmart was at the next exit. So I had doubts about going in there. When I went in there, everybody had the guns on their side. And I was like, "Oh Lord, this is just not happening." I'm in Mississippi. Got what I needed. Got out of there. Me and my family, we were hightailed it, as they say, right back. I mean, not that Kentucky is too much better, but it was a relief when I saw that sign in the rear view mirror that said, "Welcome to Mississippi." Loved the sign ahead said you were now leaving Mississippi. It gave me chills. But this story here is a very for Lauren Burke, it would trigger some serious commentary. It's a highly unusual legal battle. An anonymous plaintiff who describes themselves as, quote, a celebrity and public figure who resides in Tennessee is urging a federal court in Mississippi to declare a sexual assault accuser's allegations untrue and stop her from further publicizing them before she's even filed a lawsuit, claiming that she is attempting to extort and defame him with false allegations that would irreparably harm his reputation and career. So I went doing sleuthing, as they say, trying to figure out who this is. So the plaintiff's lawsuit, which was filed in mid-September, prompted his accuser to fire back this week, opposing the celebrity's effort to stay anonymous. The female accuser, identified in the filings as Jane Roe, is asking the court to deny the request from the high-profile John Doe to proceed under a pseudonym, arguing in her filing that he is an alleged sexual assault predator who should not receive special treatment. Now, I got to get you guys, come on, hit me with your thoughts on this. Mr. Doe, it says, believes that he is entitled to the same protection victims receive, not to prevent unnecessary re-traumatization, but rather to maintain his celebrity reputation. David Youngblood says, is it Garth Brooks? No, what I mean is, when I say I want your thoughts, your feedback, not on who it is. We'll find that out, I'm sure. But your thoughts on these dual filings, in which they both are anonymous. The accuser's attorney says our civil court system is designed to resolve disputes and provide injured parties a means of redress. This is according to Jane Roe. It is supposed to be a level playing field. The system is not in place to allow wealthy wrongdoers the ability to run workarounds on sexual assault victims who attempt to hold perpetrators accountable. This is precisely what Mr. Doe is asking the court to help him do. See, here's one issue, and this is one issue, because and CNN is reporting this, but this is one issue. The presumption of innocence is not. Again, I am not saying don't believe the accuser. I'm saying that you have to return to a standard of an accusation should not mean guilt. I'll put it this way. Let me rephrase that. An accusation does not prove guilt. It does not prove guilt. And here, you have a person that says, wait a minute, he should be outed, and he's saying that, wait a minute, I didn't do this, and I shouldn't be outed. I have a reputation to uphold. Knowing that sexual assault accusations and allegations does, in many ways, destroys a career. We've seen it. In her filing, she describes this famous person as having millions of fans and multi-millionaire resources. In her filing, she describes herself as a professional makeup artist and hairstylist who has worked in the music industry for more than 3 decades. She claims she worked periodically for Doe over 15 years and has done his hair and makeup as well as his wife's. So now we know that this person is married. Dr. Nicole says, you just said everything I was typing. Is tricky in this day and age. What's for breakfast, brunch, Dr. Nicole? I'm hungry. I'm coming over there and raiding the refrigerator. I hope you got something in it. Anyway, I told Greer I was hungry. She just rolled her eyes at me. Didn't matter to her. My plight is not of her concern. Guilty until proven innocent, Dr. Nicole says, and that's really, she says, and did she rolled her eyes at me. So in her memorandum, though, Rose says she plans to publicly file her complaint this coming week, in which she would name the celebrity as a defendant under California. So now we got Tennessee involved, Mississippi involved, and now California, because under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover Up Accountability Act, she is going to use this. So she's going to file this in California because there's no statute of limitations under or the statute of limitations has changed anyway. I don't know if it eliminates the statute of limitations or it just extends it for a great period of time. But California's Sexual Abuse and Cover Up Accountability Act is where is under which she's filing. Now, in this celebrity's complaint, he claims that Rose's attorney sent him a, quote, confidential demand letter, quote, alleging a litany of sexual misconduct by plaintiff ranging from allegations of sexual grooming, creation of a sexually hostile work environment, unwanted sexual touching, and sexual assault after he declined Rose's request for salaried employment and medical benefits in the filing. Now, let's break that down a little bit. So she requested, allegedly, salaried employment. Now, she's a stylist and a makeup artist. They're never on salary, almost never on salary. I know that the news networks, do have salaried stylists and makeup artists. Like you go to the shows, The View, Good Morning America, NBC Today, CBS Mornings, the late shows. They all have makeup artists on site, and some of them, at least what I can remember, because when I worked at MSNBC, I loved the makeup artist. She was absolutely wonderful. She, I believe she was a salaried employee at that time. They're generally so kind. The makeup artists, now this is probably a little bit different. I don't know. This is obviously a musician of some sort that we're talking about here. And so I don't know. The environment is totally different in those settings. But I just know that and I've come across so many, I've had to be made up by many of them. They've all the sweetest people you'll find. At least that's what oh, look at that picture. I look warped. But that's from MSNBC. And I just found them to be the nicest, easiest people to talk to. And but this salary and employee medical benefits. So now it's a possibility that this person did ask for maybe a raise or even, hey, put me on salary and give me some medical benefits. And still was assaulted. Because we know, and if you don't know, you certainly have been able to learn that in a lot of cases, it's true. Women don't victims. I mean, not just leave it to women, but victims don't all the time, or even oftentimes, immediately come forward when it's in the workplace. And so it's conceivable that she was assaulted, and then after being assaulted, maybe that even in some ways made it more urgent for her to have a more solid employment with medical benefits. And so she asked. And so it's conceivable that this entertainer is using that against her to say, see, this is a shakedown or whatever. Yeah, Michelle, I would love to. Yeah, well, yeah, I would like to hear. I would have liked to have heard Lauren's, but I kind of know what Lauren, how Lauren's. So it's a two-edged sword there. But in her filing, Roe alleges that Doe shared his fantasies with her, groped her, and once walked out of the shower naked and forced her to touch him, and then assaulted her during a work trip in Los Angeles in 2019. Now, that's where I get a little confused, folks. The makeup artist, again, now, maybe and Greer worked in the music industry. I did not. I mean, I did some music videos. I was fortunate enough to get hired to do some music videos back in the 90s, as an extra, because I needed the money, folks. I was working for Chris Stokes, and Chris, at the end of the night, paid the extras in cash, and that's what I needed, some cash. So, um, and Busy Bone Thugs and Harmony, work for them, and what's the boys with Omarion and those guys. But I don't get this idea of why the makeup artist was even anywhere near the shower. And Mike B asked me, was I an extra for Color Me Bad? What do you mean by that, Mike B? I'm feeling like it's some sort of backwards insult, or maybe it's a straight up insult. But it just sounds really weird that the makeup artist would be in the shower, in the bathroom, anywhere near there where the entertainer is taking a shower. And it's not that I'm doubting her story. I'm trying to look at it from both lenses here. Now, he says that Jane Roe attempted to extort him for millions of dollars through untrue lewd allegations and outrageous conduct. Defendant's allegations are not true. Defendant is well aware, however, of the substantial irreparable damages such false allegations would do to plaintiff's well-earned reputation as a decent and caring person, along with the unavoidable damage to his family and the irreparable damage to his career and livelihood that would result if she made good on her threat to publicly file her fabricated lawsuit. The celebrity plaintiff also claimed in the lawsuit that his accuser alleged that he planned to hire someone to murder her, which he denied. And this is really ugly. And the more I report it to you, sometimes, you write stuff and you think about stuff a little bit and you move on. Because in this business, you got to keep moving. Like that song, you keep on moving. You got to keep moving. But the more I tell you folks this story, the more I now I got to go and spend some time really digging further into this to find out who exactly this is. And not to out them, because if it becomes public, it becomes public. I don't want to be the one outing them. Certainly, because again, as I said, nobody's proven anything. These are allegations. So I don't want to, because I do believe, in a he said, she said case, it's both of them should be outed, or neither one of them should be outed until and unless. And if he's guilty, he needs to be outed big time. If he's not guilty, if he did not do this, she needs to be outed big time. That's how I feel about it. If you lie about it, there's no anonymity here. There's no right to protection of your identity. Certainly, if he's guilty of this, then chances are he's guilty of this with somebody else too. So let's be real. And this is also why you see these multiple. Oh, well, Aunt Pam says, well, he is Garth Brooks. I'm leaning that way. Is it really Garth Brooks? I mean, did they confirm this, Aunt Pam? Now she would know, because she's down there, in her, she loves her South too, Virginia, New Orleans, all that stuff. Okay, Garth Brooks. So, and in fact, it is Garth Brooks. I just tag on it. Y'all doing my job. Garth Brooks. Yep. 12 minutes ago, an important reminder. It was on CNN. Exactly. So Garth Brooks, what's your deal, Garth Brooks? It's hey, and the thing about it is, again, Garth Brooks, I'm glad I wasn't the one who outed you. If you're not guilty, Garth. But when they started saying Tennessee, Mississippi, California, and Tennessee was the really tip off, right, for Garth Brooks. I tell you. So I know the debate is going to be: did he do it or didn't he do it? Uh, did he? You can't say did he anymore without, I'm saying did he, but it comes off as did he, and then you're talking about sexual assault. Did he? Take that, take that. Mike V says, and I do agree with this sentiment here, folks. Real quick before we sign off, as he says, the optics of Congresswoman Cheney and Vice President Harris on stage together creates a permission structure to conservative women and swing voter women that it's time to get behind Harris and Walz. It does. It does. I agree. That was a big move right there. Because it's one thing you hear the some Republicans who are supporting the vice president, they do it in word and statements, and some have and quick hit comments on television. But her going on stage with the vice president, yeah, I agree, Mike B. I think it loosens or lessens, I should say, the anxiety that some might have and pressure some might have from conservatives and Republicans who want to support the vice president. And so her appearing in that manner does that, I believe, at least for some contingent of these conservatives and Republicans. So that was a huge event with all the endorsements coming in. This was huge. This was tantamount. If you ask me, Mike, it's tantamount to like 100 endorsements. So good call, Mike V. Real good call there. That how important that might prove to be for Vice President Harris and Governor Walz in their campaign. Got 31 days left, and we will know that who will lead this country. He says Trump was foaming at the mouth yesterday over it too. Yeah, Trump. It's going to be, if things hold the way they appear, and the momentum continues for the vice president, it's going to be the worst moment of Donald Trump's life. She said, "Take that, take that." It's going to be the worst moment of Donald Trump's life. I mean, total. He could the loss of his father, the loss of anybody, the ex-wife he buried in his backyard. Didn't they say he buried her in his backyard or something at Mar-a-Lago? He could lose a child. I guarantee you, it would not be as painful as losing to Kamala Harris in November. And so prepare. And that's why if he talks that talk about violence and things of that nature. And that is exactly why they should certainly have the National Guard out in certain places, including in Washington, on Election Day. It's unfortunate that they're going to have, I believe they have to. Now, I've not heard talk of it. I'm just surmising that they're going to have some major security measures in place. Because if he does lose, and they should have mental health professionals on standby outside of whatever door he's standing in, because he's going to go full on bonkers. You think yesterday we reported how he went nuts and started tweeting out 140 times the word Russia in capital letters. This guy is going to lose his stuff in the ways we've never seen ever, because this is going to be the worst defeat, not only professionally, not only politically, but personal, that he's ever experienced. All the bankruptcies, the 34 convictions, the sexual assault findings that he sexually assaulted the writer, everything will pale in comparison to what he will be feeling come November the 5th. And then, yes, and that's another good call, David. And Melania comes out full-throated support of women's right to choose. He must have been taking a bat to the wall yesterday when she did that. And then she doubled down on it. So he is in for the most significant and the most devastating defeat in his life. And we are here for it. Thanks for watching Let It Be Known. We'll see you on Monday.
Let it be known, I'm civil rights attorney Ben Crump, also known as Black America's Attorney General. Tune in to the NMPA Let It Be Known morning show every morning. Let